You know why Fiverr is called Fiverr?
I don't actually.
You need to hire at least 5 guys before you get the right one. The book industry, if you're looking from the outside, you think nobody reads books. This is a dying space. You wouldn't even want to go into that because the margins are so thin. When Amazon entered this space, it pretty much obliterated all of the small business owners.
The local bookstore doesn't have the online sales, so they can't even do that.
All of the independent, smaller booksellers, now they can compete with Amazon-like technology. But one thing that we did different, we always add the human touch because we're aware that our target audience is not very tech savvy. That's been the winning strategy. So you create a product that works all day, every day. Then you add some custom layer for a customer because they're different. And then you add service. And that's a winning combo.
Today's episode is about something most people never think about, how books actually get sold behind the scenes. And my guests today aren't booksellers, they're tech founders. I have Pawel and Marcin from Emersoft. They have spent years building software, and when they looked at the book industry, they realized something shocking, which was a lot of it still runs on spreadsheets, on manual uploads, on outdated systems. So instead of talking about books as a product today, we're going to be talking about systems, ownership, and how technology lets small businesses compete with giants like Amazon. So let's get to it. Pawel, Marcin, it's a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you for having us.
You both have built software and sold software companies before. What made you even look at the book industry?
Yeah, thank you very much, Ivan, for having us here. Maybe let me start on this one. So working with books industry is something that you can't really figure out by looking at, like, doing some research. This is something that you can get to where you are in the trenches. So we were working with a big client. He was a publisher, and they needed some integrations. They wanted to improve their processes, and we started looking into this. And it was shocking how outdated it was. Like, we couldn't even find the up-to-date documentation of this, integrations, like systems that haven't been used in years. They were still a standard in the industry. So we've been building software for the last 10 years. And if we see something like that, this is immediately, a bulb in your head that this is outdated. Like, there were no updates. And then we dived deeper into this, like looking into POS systems, how they process those automated orders through files created on the server, copy, paste. Like, that was crazy. That was the moment that we realized this is outdated, and they need some integrations.
Awesome. Was there anything in particular that you looked into and said, like, oh my God, like, this is way behind on the standard today?
The whole space, man, is so under-invested, underdeveloped, under-innovated. And we're in the tech space, so we're always in the future. The book industry, like, if you're looking from the outside, you think that nobody reads books. This is a dying space. And you wouldn't even want to go into that because the margins are so thin, and it's a very particular space. That's why nobody before us as a tech company went so heavy and partnered with the biggest companies in this space and said, hey, let's start talking to each other and let's start just gluing the best connections. So we're not here to build castles. We're here to build bridges, and we connect the castles, and we're like, talk to each other, and because of that, there's greater value for the booksellers. So now, all of the independent, smaller business owners, booksellers, now they can compete with Amazon-like technology, which wasn't available to them before. And now they have complete system, whether brick and mortar or online, it's all there. And we're gonna go into more detail here on this podcast, how we do it specifically. But also when Amazon entered this space, it pretty much obliterated all of the small business owners.
Yeah.
And now, as this technology matured, they're back in the game with our help.
Yeah, and also I just want to add here that, Shopify has been such a great e-commerce platform that's really taking over a lot of industries, but it wasn't the case for booksellers. Like they still had to use those, outdated software that was designed for booksellers, but it was so old. Like there were no updates with the last 20 years, not much has changed. And that also, sparked our curiosity. Why is it that case? And then as we, dive deeper into the space, we understood they have some specific, specific processes. Like a lot of them have a lot of products, and that was also something we've noticed.
Yeah, and I love the analogy Marcin did, how you guys are building the roads between the castles. That's a Vegas. I hear this about Vegas often. Vegas is a very new city, right? And when I bring my relatives from Europe or some friends that come over to visit, they always say like it's so impressive how you guys built the roads first, and then the houses get built around the road. And in our countries, you guys are also from Europe, in our countries is oftentimes the house gets built and then they start thinking about how we're going to build the road to that house, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So I think having that infrastructure is very, very important for not just the books business, but any business. And it's awesome that you guys are thinking about that, just because, as you mentioned, Amazon is... when they come into a space, they usually just take over the space just because they have all these resources.
They control
right?
the data. They control everything.
You guys allowing these small guys, small booksellers, and then bigger booksellers, obviously, to compete with that. That's amazing.
The other way to put it, Ivan, we've democratized access for smaller booksellers. They couldn't access this technology because there were thresholds that they didn't meet. Monetary thresholds in terms of revenue. We waived that. They were integration fees that they couldn't afford. Development fees. No bookseller can pretty much buy a company like ours. We've been on the market for 10 years working with the biggest tech companies, and we have a team of skilled experts. We're Shopify experts and programmers. So no bookseller can literally just go and hire a team and say, hey, build the same solution for me. Because guess what? My mentor says, you know what the drillers do, the oil drillers? They drill. You know what the booksellers do? They sell books.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be thinking about building tech. And I shouldn't be thinking about selling books because I help the booksellers sell more, save more time.
It makes sense, and that kind of segues into my next question, which is, what do you think was the one thing that kept all these booksellers stuck in that stone age, so to speak, right? When it comes to technology, was it finance? Was it something else?
Also, mindset, and as I said, this space being very underdeveloped and under-innovated, totally, really forgotten. And Pawel can expand on what it means.
Yeah, I think it's also the case that it wasn't a sexy industry, like now with this all AI and, the latest, automations, building agents and all that stuff. There's a lot of hype around it. So obviously there are people interested in that. But booksellers, they kind of build their own communities. They, exchange data, and they also, they are not really into technology, right? So they were not really looking for, some of them were looking for the best tech, but a lot of people, they just want to focus on those books, building communities, hanging out in bookstores. So I think there was not a lot of drive in terms of improving those processes and, investing and building tech.
Yeah.
Kind of forgotten for some reason. It's hard to say why.
Also very scared of technology. Scared of anything new that could disrupt their, if you think about books, physical books, not audiobooks even. If you think about this space, it's kind of boring and old, but very stable.
Yeah.
Very, very stable. Not many people know that actually the trend is reversing now, and people are going. They after the cough season in 2020, people want to go back and touch something physical, and that's also like you always see kind of like polarities. So now we went all digital, and I think people want to touch something. There's this community aspect, a place where people can hang out, like, you know, with Starbucks, for example. You know? That's not Starbucks, but with Starbucks, you go to Starbucks, maybe not as much here in the US, depends on the city, but in Europe, for example, I don't know if that's the best example, but
yeah, I get it.
Starbucks in general, like it's not just selling coffee, it's selling the space, the Wi-Fi, the access, you know. And so people want to go back to it, but they don't want to go to dirty Starbucks where you have 5 homeless people. Like they want to go to a place that's calm, and they have, guess what, now all those booksellers, they're specialized. So if you're like a sci-fi fan, we were just talking to a client in Ohio, it's a sci-fi space. We have bookstores that are just focused on let's say romance books or children books. So the space for kids. We were talking to a single mother who published an article. That article went viral. She opened 2 bookstores. She bought a location, and she started getting orders, you know, from California, from like city councils, ordering her curriculum for like, what do you call it? Like when you have students learning at home. Homeschool.
I'm actually looking into that for my kids.
There you go. So where would you order your books? Probably from someone who's specialized in this, right?
Yeah, most likely. Yeah, you want to work with an expert.
Yeah, right? And people want to support your local as well. Like booksellers, they really focus on community. So it's a big part. And then, you know, if you don't have the online sales capabilities, because that's also a case for a lot of booksellers, people don't always have time to go and browse those books and, you know, hang out in the bookstore, but they still want to support their local. But the local bookstore doesn't have the online sales, so they can't even do that. That's why, you know, like looking into this online sales channel is pretty important. And I think that was overwhelming for a lot of booksellers. They thought it's pretty complex, and, you know, it would add so much extra work to their, you know, daily operations, but it's not the case anymore. Like right now, you can really automate a lot of things, and you know, we spotted.
But here's the kicker: so you can automate, but remember when I said they were scared of technology. But one thing that we did different, and also we did that with our previous software that we sold, is we love software, but we always add the human touch, because we're aware that our target audience is not very tech savvy, and they always need some support. So we added that service component. Concierge, I don't know why, but throughout my like software career, concierge support, that's been the winning strategy. Concierge support. So you create a product that works all day, every day, delivers the same result. Then you add some custom layer for a customer, because they're different. Those bookstores are different. And then you add service. And that's a winning combo.
Yeah.
Because they still want a human to do some stuff with them, for them. And guess what? Once they buy your app, your solution, they don't want to hire 5 other guys. You know, by the way, you know why Fiverr is called Fiverr?
I don't actually.
Because you need to hire at least 5 guys before you get the right one.
That's so yeah.
So they don't want to go to Fiverr. They just found they found their match, and they just want more.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, I see this across other industry. I recently filmed a podcast with a guy who is from the home improvement industry. He was here in Vegas for also a trade show. And he also offers a software solution for these guys that do home improvement. And he said the exact same thing. Every solution needs to get implemented. And without the proper customer support, and without the proper support for these people that want to implement that solution, they just never implement it. They just buy it, sit somewhere on the shelf, maybe pay a subscription for a couple months, and then cancel because they never implement. Versus when you provide that overall support for them, then it's a different story, right?
And especially now in the age of AI, when everyone is implementing AI chatbots, like you can't even talk to a real person, which is frustrating because, you know, like you get all those, you know, yes, I'm looking into your issue, wherever, but there is no results. There are no support. That's why we put so much emphasis on the customer support. And that's what we did with our previous software that we sold. We always wanted to have the tool and also provide the implementation. That's a winning strategy, and that's really what you can't get from like Amazon. Like try to talk to their support.
yeah, it's not always pleasant experience. Though usually the bigger the company, the harder it is. I feel like they're guarding their support. Almost you gotta go through fences and like self-help websites and all that before you get to
need to know the keywords that to use in the chatbot.
I'm not sure if
you
you
call,
guys
call,
like
call through India, Pakistan, and then you get to support after 20 minutes.
Absolutely,
if you're lucky.
Absolutely. And to bring us back into the conversation for the bookstores, when did you guys realize that it wasn't the actual store's problem? It was more of a technology problem. Was there like a particular moment when you looked at this industry and you're like, these guys need us? Like what was that moment? If there was one.
Pawel, you wanna answer that?
So I don't think there was like this, one moment. I think it was the more we were talking to people, the more, because our strategy is also be close to the customer, talk to the customer, listen to the feedback, and see how they
Boots
operate.
on the ground, like we're not sitting in the committees.
Yeah,
where people are making decisions.
We're not trying to guess what would be good for them. We want to talk to them. We organize webinars. We run a lot of demos. So we also record YouTube videos. So I think the more we were talking to those people, the more we realized that they all have the same problem. Like there's nothing that they can use for their online sales. Like they still have to copy paste all the data. And even if you go and got the data from Ingram content group, they provide the data, but it's still in a form that requires work from you. So what we did is we automate that. Like you can have easy access to this data. You can easily add it. You can delegate this task to our concierge support. So what we were talking about. But yeah, I don't think there was just one moment. It was just realization with time that, dude, those people, really. There was a process that those people are really stuck in the 90s with those. Even the design, like now the user interface is so important with those tools. Even if you look at like ChatGPT, or this is the most popular app right now, right? There is just a chat, nothing other, no buttons.
One other things as well, like any industry that you're in, or you as a person or as a company, it's the very important thing is to inventory the space. Like who are the players? Who am I? Who are my peers?
Yeah.
Who am I benchmarking against? So we looked at the space in general, and you'd be surprised what we found out. You have solutions that have community. They're in the space. They're investing in the upgrades, and they force their clients to upgrade into an inferior solution. And they've burned money. I'm not gonna name names, but they've burned money, and they have an inferior solution to Shopify. Shopify right now, it's number one. If you were to ask me, it's a number one solution for an e-commerce platform, because guess what? Like I came to the studio, I didn't build it. I didn't build the building. I didn't design it. I didn't set up the lights. I don't need to do it. I just jump in, jump out. I'll let Oscar and you guys do all of that. And so I don't want to be building this whole space. I'm just going to use it, and I'm going to rely on the experts. So anyway, so those guys, we looked at the competition, we inventoried, and turns out they're burning money. They're forcing them to upgrade. And guess what? They're getting that DDoS attacks, which I don't even know what it really means, but they're just getting attacked and stifled from Singapore or wherever because they have inferior service. How can you compete?
Yeah.
You have a, let's say, $10 million solution. How can you compete with Shopify, with their infrastructure, publicly traded business?
Yeah.
By the way,
billions.
Shopify,
And they are very difficult to use, coming back to that interface, user interface, they just difficult to use. Like they're not.
you can customize it, you can brand it.
You need to even be like those people are not technical, but you need to be technical to understand how to use that tool. It should be easy, like there'll be just a couple of buttons
We have
here and there.
again, like because Shopify is there, the layer that, because any business, if you look at it, it's layer 1, base layer. What's the base layer? The base layer is Shopify. Second layer, what's the second layer? The second layer is Ingram. It's PubNet. It's publishers. Anybody that comes in. What's the third layer? Or the third layer is any customization. So any solution you want. Like you don't want to look like Amazon. You don't want to look like Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
Like you want to be different. So because they're curating, they need to be unique. As I said, we have a client, for example, selling history books. Like he doesn't want to look like all the other guys. It's got to be history books because he's specialized in that specific space, but he still wants to have the best solution. So that's what we really created. And that's the unique
Proposition
angle,
you guys have.
unique proposition. Yeah.
Yeah. Just to kind of recap and make sure I'm understanding right. So you guys essentially are building this studio, if I want to piggyback on your example, for booksellers who can come in, sit here, everything is turnkey for them.
That's right.
They can just swap their logo, put their logo on the back, maybe customize the lighting.
Turnkey solution. I like that.
And they make their custom branding, but the base and the room that you guys put them in is advanced turnkey space that's ready to go.
Correct. And the competition, so I mentioned the layers. Base layer, second layer, third layer. Competition, the thesis is wrong at the base layer. Why? Because their software is from like 1990s. It's the PHP. And you can't even develop it. Nobody there is no army of developers like with Shopify.
Yeah.
So who are you competing with? Like with Shopify, you even have the biggest distribution channel, Shop app. You spin up your bookstore are available in that app. You have this whole Amazon-like experience.
I use a lot of Shopify.
Me too. I
And
order
also-
from small businesses all the time. This morning I ordered beard oil from a small business.
Yeah. And
Beautiful experience, just like Amazon.
And using your comparison to the studio, like our competitors, like the only solutions that are really available for bookstores, they allow you to. They also give you the studio, but the only thing that you can change there is the color on the wall, and everything else is the same, right? The same, chairs, the same setup.
They don't allow the level of customization.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't really be unique, right?
Awesome.
And you also have access to all the books, so you can't really do that curation. So like, you're not unique.
Yeah. You guys are able to allow people to turn that.
Yeah, they can be
uniqueness and
really
build their
in
own
control
brand
of their customer data, control of their branding, which is very important in this, today, because you want to be unique. You want to have something that differentiate you from the others.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm building this for businesses in the social media space, right? I help them build their personal brand. Now it's same in your business and in every business out there. You need to be building that personal brand, and people connect with people and connect with your brand.
Exactly.
Just because of who you are.
You don't want to copy
As
anyone.
you said, if I'm looking for, homeschooling my kid, I'm not gonna go to a bookstore that's offering history books, right?
Right.
I'm gonna go to a place that's
Maybe
specializing in.
I'll refer you to my client.
For sure, yeah. we should talk about it after the show. But tell me, for businesses that refuse to implement technology and bookstores that refuse to step up and come up to date to that, what's the real cost of them staying the same? Like you work with a lot of stores, I'm sure, and you have that ability to see people who choose not to and people who choose to move forward. What's that look like?
I think, if you refuse to move forward and refuse to seek improvements in the processes and all that stuff, you're just gonna stay behind, because you will be burning your time on tasks that you don't have to do manually. So you're basically just losing your time that you could be spending on maybe building a community. It's a big part of every bookstore. Maybe finding out some marketing strategies, or hanging out in your bookstore talking to people. Instead
You're
of
just
that,
gonna have suboptimal results. Like you're not maximizing. Would you rather spend time with your family? I don't know, your dog, cat, or your kids and your spouse, or would you and focus what actually matters in your what moves the needle in your business? Because I would rather focus on that rather than sitting with my accountant, historian, and spend 30 hours a week doing that. I'm not an accountant.
Yeah.
Why would I be doing that?
yeah, it's a choice. It's a choice where you invest your time.
And you're smart or you're not smart.
Yeah.
If you're smart, you make smart choices. If you make smart choices, you come to Emersoft.
Awesome, man. I love that. I love that.
That's gonna be the viral video.
A lot of people still go to Amazon, obviously, because it feels easy. But what's the hidden cost of going to a platform that you don't own? What's that cost for people who choose to go to Amazon?
Yeah, I think competition is great. Competition is great because I can pinpoint and I can say, look at Amazon. That's a benchmark. Before they came out, that wasn't the standard. Now that's the standard. So who's gonna move like the standard? Who's gonna move the benchmark? So now those smaller booksellers, Amazon is they're never going to replicate that human experience that a smaller bookseller, let's say sci-fi, history, children books, like homeschooling, like if you're an expert in that, if you're all about that, you're gonna attract all those loyal clients and you're gonna own the data. You don't own any data with Amazon. They own everything.
You don't even know the client's name.
You don't know. How can you create a repeating business model using Amazon?
Yeah.
So it's a great experience. So they have a component that's great. Awesome. Thank you, Amazon. They took all the arrows. Now, for a fraction of that price, you get enterprise solution. As a smaller business owner, you spend 5 Gs and you're in business.
Yeah,
much.
as you said, like
Online at least.
a lot of people still think that this is easy choice. Like I want to sell books, I will go to Amazon, post some books, and then I will start my business. But this is not really a business. You're just renting everything. Like you're not collecting data, as Marcin said, of your customers. You can't really customize your branding. You can't really. You're not in control of some kind of promotions, discount. If someone bought a book from you, and if you had this information, who was it? You can send them, like next year for Christmas, like maybe you want to buy another book, or maybe for another occasion.
Yeah, maybe something new came out in the
Yeah,
space.
exactly. And you build that connection with those people, and they want to support you.
So basically, what
Amazon,
he's saying, you're at mercy to one guy that controls your whole business.
Yeah.
And with Shopify, it's a hub. So when I mentioned about the base layer before, like that competitor or list of competitors, they can't go and hook up with TikTok because guess what? The clients decide today to buy from TikTok. They do not support TikTok. Oh, it's going to take them a few $1 million to develop that solution and probably 5 years before they get DDoS attacks from Singapore or India or Pakistan. So what are you talking about? Like Shopify already has that marketplace, hooks up with TikTok, hooks up with Meta, hooks up with any place where the customer behavior is shifting to. It's already there. Why do you want to reinvent the wheel and pretend that you're the hero of the book industry when really you're just providing suboptimal results?
Yeah, so just to answer your question, you're basically sacrificing the growth for quick setup.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I work with other people that work with Amazon. I have one of my clients is 20 million seller on Amazon. They sell toys, and they say the same thing. Amazon is great.
Just don't say what kind of toys.
Kids toys. but
Not cracking
but the reality is like the same thing they're saying. You can't stand out, right? You have a listing, and
That's
then
right.
people are comparing price, and
Yeah.
they are not comparing businesses. Versus me, if I'm hardcore into sci-fi books, and I find a spot where I feel like I'm part of a community and I belong there, I would want to be there versus, Amazon. And not to mention like the whole fees and everything they take away from you.
Yeah.
And God forbid you overstep some rules and they kick you out of the platform.
Yeah.
You have no business.
Yeah, the business is over.
Yeah.
No data, no business. You start from scratch.
Yeah, that's why I tell my clients also that post on only one platform. I have clients that come to me and they're like, oh yeah, we only post on Instagram. For people who don't know, you guys mentioned Ingram, and that we're moving now from Shopify to that next level, which is Ingram and PubNet. Explain to me in like layman's terms, what is Ingram and what does it work? How does it work?
Yeah, Ingram is really the OG in the space. They are a huge player that provides this whole infrastructure for booksellers. They print, they fulfill, they collect the data, and they publish. So they allow you to self-publish. Then the data about your books are distributed to all the booksellers. So yeah, it's basically a filler of bookselling in the US. They have this whole infrastructure that previously was only available for the big players. So the small guy wasn't really able to use those for their advantage. But now with our application, they have access to the data, easy access to automatic fulfillment. So yeah, it's a huge company here in the US that owns the space really.
And I hear you guys talk about print on demand often in your content, which is, I'm assuming the way it works is I place an order for a book, the order gets sent to the Ingram, right? And then they print the book and ship it. Is that how it works?
Correct.
Or
Yeah. So what happens when you order a book? That with a book store on Shopify that uses our application, the order is created. The Shopify, like the customer goes through the checkout, they pay for the order, and that order is automatically, with our application, automatically being sent to Ingram, where they collect those orders, and that order is being picked up by their system and immediately directed to fulfillment. And they have warehouses across the US, so they can send from the closest warehouse, or they print the book on demand if it's not available in the warehouse. And Marcin was actually visiting their operation in Nashville, and it was very impressive. Like there's a lot of robots, and they have the fulfillment center just across the street where they ship. So they print and then ship directly from the same place.
what does that mean for the booksellers?
So let's imagine that you're just starting in this business. You could be thinking that you need to invest, let's say, $100,000 into your inventory. It's not just buying those books. You don't know if you're gonna sell them. Now you have to store them. Then you have to ship them. What if you go on vacation and you're a single owner? Who's gonna ship your books? What if you get sick? What if something happens? What if you get like 10 orders overnight?
Yeah.
Or 100 orders? Or, you go viral like one of our clients went national with her article. And that provides just additional layer because it doesn't hold you to that standard. With Shopify, you can still have basically, you can fulfill manually from your brick and mortar or from your location, wherever you are. You can create as many warehouses as you want, because that was one of the questions that I had today with a client in the morning. We had a call at 6 a.m. And she was asking, like, can I create multiple warehouses in Shopify within your app? Of course you can. And one of those locations, one of the warehouses, fulfillment locations, that can be set up in a smart way, is the Ingram CDF, Consumer Direct Fulfillment, which is basically print on demand.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah, so you don't have to carry your own inventory, or you can use this as a backup if you run out of products in your store, but you still want to fulfill this. So you can use Ingram as a backup, which is also a popular option amongst
There are
our
difference in
clients.
margins, but really people don't think that. Someone was asking me, oh, but there is like 50% or 40% when I order through Ingram, but there's like 60% when I do it through publisher. Yeah, what's your volume? Oh, I sell 2 books. Oh, yeah, really? So you're gonna drive to the post office for 30 minutes, then go back, then something's gonna happen on the way. You're gonna pay for your gas. Your car is gonna break.
Yeah.
And so, did you calculate all those costs?
And
Like, how much is your time?
Not
Is
to,
it $5?
Yeah.
yeah.
And
then
publishers-
not to mention, like, you probably have to have a warehouse that has 1,000 pieces of that book.
Yeah,
And
because
if you sell 2 a month,
Yeah.
probably gonna take you like 1,000 years to get rid of
Correct.
that inventory, right?
So it's just good to have that.
yeah, and publishers, if you want to order through publishers, they're not gonna sell you 1 book. You need to order at least 200 pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now we're entering the Canadian market. So we're talking to. By the way, Shopify is a Canadian business.
Oh, I
So
didn't know that.
Their headquarters in Canada, listed on Nasdaq though, as a publicly traded business. We're Shopify partners, so we work very closely with them. Whether you're a brick and mortar and you need a POS, point of sale,
Mm-hmm.
with all the data, because then they're like, oh, I have my point of sale system. How do I track my inventory? Well, there are 2 components to our solution. One is the data, and the other one is automated fulfillment and stock tracking the inventory. So Pawel, maybe you can expand on that.
Yeah, so a lot of people, like a lot of booksellers, as we were talking about, they use those outdated point of sale system just because they were designed for the book industry, and they're very outdated. So when you want to sell online, which you should be doing if you're not doing, because it's a huge sales channel, now you have 2 places where you need to manage inventory, because those POS, those point of sales, they don't integrate, they don't connect to Shopify. So on Shopify you have your online store, and with this other tool you have inventory of your brick and mortar. So it just adds complexity to the whole setup, and that's, by the way, one of the reasons why people don't want to go to selling online, because it just feels like too much of a hassle, to connecting all of that. But yeah, there are 2 components: the data and the fulfillment. And with Shopify, you can connect all of that, have this amazing POS hardware connected to your Shopify store, and now all of a sudden you use Shopify as a whole backend admin for your operation, both brick and mortar and online sales. And with Shopify, you can run all sorts of reports, see and have the visibility and the clarity of your business, how much you're selling, what is your inventory, what are the best sellers, because that's important. You need to know what books you want to order more, what books you don't need to order anymore because they are just basically not selling. Mm-hmm. And that data can be, and Shopify can provide you with this data pretty much outside of the box.
I see. I imagine you have like a dashboard or some sort of...
Yes,
apps,
sort of
solutions. It's a complete solution, and we host regular webinars. We just hosted one last week, and we educate booksellers. So we have a community, and it's an open Zoom. And by the way, some of the other people that do those webinars, they close the Zoom, so when you enter the Zoom, you're a participant. You don't see anybody else in the chat.
I see.
So we flipped that. We're like, we're going to be so transparent. You guys can talk to each other, ask each other questions, and we're going to teach you based on all. Why would you spend 60 hours? Like I spend 60 hours probably a week talking to booksellers. He's going to spend another 60 or 80.
Yeah.
And we have times 20 of our employees. We have all that intelligence, and you jump on one webinar that's condensed regularly. So we're doing one a month. We have plans because there's a lot of demand. We had just 100 seats on the previous webinar. We had to upgrade our Zoom because people were waiting in the waiting room. They couldn't jump in. We had like 190 registrations.
Wow.
So huge demand, and they love the community aspect, that it's not just us telling them, oh, this is what you guys should be doing. Like we have people asking questions openly and just talking to each other. And so we're gonna be hosting Q3. We're gonna be doing probably 2 or 3 a month.
Oh,
We're doing one a month now, and so we're gonna go to 3 a month.
that's awesome.
So, yeah, education is a huge part of that.
What are some of the most common questions you guys hear on these webinars?
Oh, great question. So Pawel is the main guy. Let's just go over like maybe the.
It's usually the data, so adding products, because a lot of people, they still do that manually, or they have to hire someone to do that for them, which is a big cost for a bookseller. So first of all, there's the data, and also the automations around ordering. So first of all, the Ingram fulfillment. However, a lot of our clients, they're brick and mortar, so they already have some kind of relationship with a publisher, and they want to fulfill those books themselves.
And that's why we're adding PubNet. So explain.
Yeah,
that was my next question.
Yeah,
So
the question was
good
about.
call.
So we started like very much online focused. Now we've opened the brick and mortar space. So it's a complete. That's why when I say complete, both online and physical brick and mortar.
And actually, the reason why we decided to go with the PubNet integration was because we were talking to those people, and those were the questions that were, kept popping up. Like, I order books from publishers, like I have a better deal, or I have my brick and mortar, I want to replenish the stock. And they don't do that through Ingram most of the time. Some of them they do, but they mostly do that through directly with publishers. And that's why, like, we were listening to what they need, and we decided, okay, this is something that we need to add because a lot of people need that. So those were really the questions that were mostly asked on those webinars and demos, and that's why, based on those questions, we designed the roadmap and decided to go with the PubNet integration. So our approach is to listen, collect the feedback, because this is very valuable data, see how they operate, and just implement that in the application.
Yeah, when you think about software people, you think that they're creating a solution for a problem that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
We listen, and we're boots on the ground, talking to those booksellers every day, nationwide. We have clients internationally as well, and that's actually one of the. On our website, if you go on our website, we have a case study. We created multi-currency add-on feature on our app that if you're selling Canadian dollars, we also support that. We have clients in the Caribbean, Iceland.
Wow.
We're talking with the UK, Germany, so we're expanding.
Yeah.
But for now, the focus very much is on the US, and I think. Canada is
the next one.
Is the next one, yeah.
Awesome. So, just to go kind of in the nitty-gritty details a little bit more, like let's say I'm a bookseller and I have thousands of products in my inventory. When I start working with you, how does that process look like? How you guys help me organize all this, or what does it look like from the inside? Yeah.
So we also offer. Part of the onboarding process is really the data enrichment, because people, they have big inventories, but the data is kind of like all over the place. They were, copying it from online, looking, adding, and all that stuff. So the first step always is to enrich their current data. So we run our process and get all the meta fields, all the data that was missing on those products to make sure that everything is complete in their bookstore. And then depends on the setup, because a lot of people use Shopify differently. We help them organize it using tags, using categories, and we do that through like bulk updates and things like that. So we are there for them to help them onboard and organize those books.
That's awesome. And then obviously AI is a very hot topic right now across all the industry. How does AI help or hurt bookstores?
Let's talk about curation. So again, our audience, our vertical, this sector, they dislike anything related to AI. Amazon AI, those are just, that's a dangerous territory. But AI is awesome when you have data. And as I mentioned, one of the components that we have is the data. So 20 million catalogs, 20 million items in the catalog. Now, if you're, let's say, selling books in the history space or, sci-fi and etc., we have categories that you can filter by, and you can cherry pick the books because like the curation. That's a huge problem. So, like, how do you create a collection of, let's say, children books? Like, how do you start? So obviously we have categories, but in order to do it in a smart way, that's where AI is awesome when you have the data. And then, so Pawel, maybe you can elaborate like how this would work. We're gonna implement that probably within a few months once we're done with like the priorities.
Yeah. So, like a lot of those booksellers, they rely on the curation. So they don't want to be the general bookstore. They want to have something specific. And it's still like, even though you have access to the data, you can import, but first you need to know what you want to import. So that also takes time to go and find the right titles and, create the list of books that you want to sell. So we want to implement an AI feature where with access to the Ingram data, you will be able to like talk to that database where you can say, I'm running a romance bookstore. I would like to get like the top bestsellers, maybe like this theme, that theme, whatever. And the AI, based on the information, because Ingram has a lot of data, so we have access to all of that. Based on this, AI would curate you a list of books that you can just import clicking by the button. So just we really want to make it easy for booksellers to set up their online store or maybe even like start a new business. Like, you don't need to think about the books that you want to sell. You don't need to think about the adding products, because this can also be delegated to our team. You just onboard to our application. You can just talk to AI that this is the idea. Like that's what I think I would like to sell. This is the bookstore. Like I'm doing homeschooling and those books, that book, or maybe a romance or sci-fi. And with Ingram, we have access to the bestsellers. We know the rating. We know the awards. We know all the basic subjects, pre-orders. We know like the description of the book, the audience, because there's also data like that. And based on all of that, AI will be able to curate you like top selling books that you can just import to your store.
That's where AI is awesome. And that's basically
like having an employee that would, just help you with all that setup.
The question is, how do you become a smarter bookseller? Yeah. And we have tools and we teach you how to do it.
That's my next question, by the way, is what does a modern bookstore look like a few years from now? Like looking in the future, you guys are obviously deep in this industry. What do you think the future looks like for either bookstores that exist or somebody who is maybe looking to open that business?
So highly curated, general bookstores, like how would you we have clients, high performance doing around 10 million. And those are very general bookstores. The problem that they had is that they're constantly being attacked by their customers that, this particular book, let's say adult book, or something that's not according to someone that, just that they just don't like politically, or, they just don't agree with this particular book to be in that store. That's a problem for customers. And so also when you have like such a general selection, like what's your unique advantage? Like how are you different? Especially online, because if you're, let's say, a brick and mortar, the only brick and mortar in Las Vegas, and someone is going through your bookstore, they're gonna pick up a book, maybe. But a lot of technology for sure, and more efficient operation in 5 years for sure. And so imagine Amazon technology in the hands of a smaller business. And when the smaller business can add the human touch community,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I see in,
I like
in
to
the future.
I like to think about the modern bookstore as an operation that is not fully automated, because you can't really automate building relationship, communicating to people. That's not something that we want to automate really. But you're not going through inventory, you are not creating purchase orders, you are relying on real data, like real reports of books that are selling best, people picking up those things. Then as soon as your inventory runs low, then the purchase order for this inventory is being automatically created, sent to the publisher directly. So you don't need to think about those like the operation really. Like you want to be there in your bookstore, talk to people, make sure that you have the latest, maybe research titles. That's probably also something that can be, improved in the future. And then just sell books, talk to people.
Focus on what you're good at.
Exactly, and then not focusing on the inventory, not creating purchase orders, not curating books. Like all of those things will be automated. Like I like to think about it in the future, and we are almost there really. Like with our the roadmap that we have is really going that direction.
Awesome. And to kind of wrap it up, this was amazing, very eye-opening for me, especially not being in that business. And it's crazy how so many things translate throughout businesses in different industries. But if somebody is listening and is still doing everything manually right now, what's the first thing they should fix in their bookstore?
I think adding data really, because it's already there. It's organized pretty neatly. You don't need to copy paste, checking, downloading cover images in low quality, uploading them to your store. I think this should be probably the best first step, and it's quick. You don't need to really, it's already invented and you don't need to think about it. So first adding data, and then probably fulfillment if you are doing the direct consumer. If you have a brick and mortar, then fulfillment might be still, in your hands, but definitely the data organization and inventory management. This is also something that you can automate right now. And I know a lot of booksellers, they spend so much time, they waste so much time, really looking after that.
Awesome. And where can people learn more about Emersoft and what you guys do?
Yeah, so because of the awesome podcast like yours, we're going with viral videos. because of that, we're pretty positioned. So if they type Emersoft Shopify, or if they type Emersoft or Shopify for bookstores, we're the first result pretty much across the board. And so if you type Shopify for bookstores or Emersoft on YouTube, any social media, pretty much Instagram. A lot of booksellers are on Instagram. We have over 100 bookstores signed up, and our plan is to get to 1,000 booksellers within the next 24 months.
Yeah, awesome. Go to our social media, see the videos that are created by the viral lab, and then check our YouTube channel. We have a lot of educational videos there. We talk about our application, automations, Shopify apps. You can learn there, and see if you have any questions, just reach out to us on our website.
Reach out on our website. It's very easy.
What's the website?
It's Emersoft.co. But if you Google, people are, but it's Emersoft, Emersoft.co. If you go to our website, it's very easy to get in touch. Just submit the form, and we're very quick to respond. You can even schedule a call if you find that it's there, so you can schedule a call. And then the next step would be, or before that, some people they don't jump on a call. They're like, oh, let me sniff them out. So they come to the webinar. So I would sign up for our newsletter. So it's on our website as well. Or just follow our social media. And on our social media, we always notify people about the webinar.
I see.
So email, social media, website, and you can even do AI search. We're positioned there.
Yeah, I just want to mention that we will be attending the Winter Institute in Pittsburgh and the 20th of February. So if you guys want to catch up, grab a coffee, talk more about the application and how we see innovating the space, reach out to us, and we are happy to connect.
We'd love to arrange a coffee chat in Pittsburgh, end of February. We will be there, and a lot of the companies that I mentioned there will be there as well. And so anybody who is interested in talking to us, we're an open book.
Or if you have any specific problem with Shopify and book selling, like, we listen and see how we can help.
That's awesome. Huge thanks to Pawel and Marcin from Emersoft
Thank you,
for
Ivan.
pulling back the curtain on how the industry works. And if this episode helped you think differently about technology, ownership, running a business, maybe starting a bookstore, subscribe, share, leave a comment below. That's the Unfiltered podcast. See you guys in the next episode.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.